Today, after 31 years, the Srinagar Sessions Court will be opening the murder trial against Farooq Ahmeddar, alias Bitta Karate today. The court is going to hear this case right now. It's with regards to Satish Kumar Tickoo's family. They have moved the court seeking justice for their ward. Joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Zeenat to give us more information. Zeenat, you're tracking the case very closely, and it's a moving time because this comes in the aftermath of the Kashmir files being screened all over India, and the injustice meted out to the Kashmiri Pandits who are still struggling today, as well as they want justice for their loved ones who are killed long back. Now, what do you make of this case being reopened by the Sessions Court, and take us through the details?
See, when we talk about the Kashmiri Pandits and genocides that Kashmiri Pandits had to face, even the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits in 19th. So it's almost 32 years since then the Kashmiri Pandits have been dislocated. Government has been trying hard to get them back. But now we are seeing, after the Kashmir file movie, we are seeing the case that was of the Satish Tickoo was filmed in the movie. And now the family of Satish Tickoo has moved to the Sessions Court here through their counsel, and they want that the case should be reopened, which was closed long back. When we talk about the Satish Pandit, he hails from the Karfil Mohalla downtown of Srinagar's Haba Kadal, and he was killed in the beginning of 90s, and he was killed by Bitta Karate, who's also known as Farooq Ahmeddar, although he has confessed number of times that he was the first one whom he killed in 90s because he was a Hindu boy and was moving very freely, although he has also accepted that he has not only killed one Kashmiri Pandit but more than 20 Kashmiri Pandits have been killed by him, and for killing the Kashmiri Pandits he has received the direction from the JKLF commander. When we talk about Farooq Ahmeddar, alias Bitta Karate, he is still languishing in the jail in Tihar after NIA registered case as far as the terror funding in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. And now the family of the Satish Tickoo is looking that the case is reviewed so that the case is reopened and the justice is delivered. All this is coming at a time after Kashmir file director has showed some of the scenes, the heart-wrenching scenes that the Kashmiri Pandits had to face when the genocide or the exodus was witnessed by them in 1990, when Pakistan was trying hard to disrupt peace on ground. They planned a conspiracy was hatched to take the Kashmiri Pandits out, and in that time also the JKLF was leading from the front. So we are seeing that the number of Pandits coming in front, and they are demanding not only from the center but as well as from the Jammu and Kashmir administration that the case should be reopened and the justice should be delivered. And Yasin Malik, who is also the JKLF chief, languishing in Tihar jail at present, so they are openly demanding that they both of them should be hanged, because the way Afzal Guru was hanged earlier for attacking the parliament, the same fate these two people should also meet. So we need to see that how the court proceedings will go, because the case will begin somewhere around 10:30 as per the sheet that we have accessed from the courtroom.
Now, Zeenat, you were giving us the backgrounder on Farooq Ahmeddar. He was, of course, a wanted terrorist. He's still in jail. He was out on bail. However, he was rearrested in 2019. But he was someone who was from the LF. And give us more of a background into that.
See, as far as the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front is concerned, they have their headquarters here in Maisuma of Srinagar, and which is headed by Yasin Malik. Yasin Malik has been quite close to the Pakistan establishment. In fact, he married Pakistani woman Mashal Malik there in early 2000, and we have been seeing.
Just come back to you if you can hear me.
Yes, no, but.
Zeenat, if you can hear me, I'm afraid I'll have to interrupt you there. Right now on the phone line with me is Mr. Vivek Raina. His father was killed by Bitta Karate, or Farooq Ahmeddar, who was from the JKLF. Mr. Raina, do you finally feel that perhaps there is a hope of justice after about 31 years of the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from Jammu and Kashmir with the beginning of this trial now?
Hello.
Mr. Raina, can you hear me? Mr. Raina, can you hear us?
या आवाज थोड़ा खत्म, मतलब टोटल ब्लैंक सुनाई दे रहा था.
क्या आपको अभी मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है?
आ रही है आपकी आवाज़ आ रही है।
Ji, I just wanted to ask you that if you could lower the audio of your television set, it will be easier for you to hear me. What I was asking you was, after 31 years of the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, do you perhaps feel that there has been an acknowledgement of, at least, of the fact that there was an exodus, there was perhaps some sort of ethnic cleansing, and now is there hope of justice?
Yeah, actually, I feel there is a ray of hope, and I personally feel justice should be.
Yes, please carry on. You were saying something, please carry on. All right, I think we've got some sort of an audio trouble over there with Vivek Raina. Vivek Raina is, of course, one of the victims of the ethnic cleansing that was witnessed in Kashmir. His father was killed during that period. As he was saying, of course, he does feel that there is perhaps a ray of hope that's coming in after 31 years, that is at least an acknowledgement of what took place, and thereafter perhaps there will be some sort of justice done. I think Mr. Sushil Pandit also on the phone line with us. Mr. Pandit, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Republic. Mr. Pandit, today there was a reopening of a case against Bitta Karate, who was one of the main accused in the ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Pandits. Now, do you perhaps feel that after 31 years, finally, there is not just an acknowledgement of what happened, but also perhaps a ray of hope that there will be justice?
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm afraid there is no acknowledgement. This is the solitary case of Satish Tickoo's killing, for which Bitta Karate is not only accused, he's a self-confessed murderer, having said on record that Satish Tickoo was his first victim. This man has killed dozens of Kashmiri Hindus. He's a self-confessed murderer. But the travesty, the sheer hypocrisy is that my state, my government, which was complicit in his roaming free, when he was released on bail, Judge N.D. Vani recorded as such that he knows this man is guilty of heinous crimes that carry life sentence, even death sentence. But the prosecution is not interested in pursuing the case, and therefore he has no option but to release him on bail. So not only he pulled the trigger on us, there is an entire system complicit in it, in not prosecuting him, in setting him free. There is an entire system that created him and instructed him to pull the trigger. And he says so in interviews after interviews. He has confessed to the fact that he was part of a network, and this network is called Jihad. And this network not only created Bitta Karate, it created an entire command and control structure that produced several Bitta Karates. And it also had its tentacles in the bureaucracy, in the politics, in the establishment, in the prosecution and police, in investigation, in the media. They were all complicit in a genocide that took place. If you pass it off as a solitary murder and initiate a trial, it will only be a travesty, because this was not just one murder. There were hundreds of murders, hundreds of rapes, hundreds of abductions. This was a genocide. My state must recognize this as a genocide, not just one solitary murder for which a token trial has been opened, because India is seeing a furor.
Right.
India is witnessing an outrage as to how an entire community was cleansed after brutal rape, murder and massacre.
Mr. Pandit, I was earlier asking you that, do you perhaps feel the beginning of... All right, I'm afraid we've got...
तो क्या कहेंगे देखिए, कुल मिलाकर के जो कश्मीर फाइल्स पिक्चर आई है, उसके बाद से बहुत सी ऐसी चीज़ें सामने आई हैं जो सत्य है। जो त्रासदी हुई थी 1999-90 में, जो कश्मीरी पंडितों को वहाँ से विस्थापन हुआ था, एक बहुत बड़ा ये साजिश थी। तो उस फिल्म में भी और स्वयं भी बिट्टा कराटे की इंटरव्यूज हम देखें तो उसमें उसने खुद स्वीकार किया है और बड़े दावे के साथ स्वीकार कर रहा है कि मैंने इतने लोगों को मारा है, इतने लोगों को ये किया है। इस प्रकार के लोग बाहर घूमें, ये ठीक नहीं है। और अच्छा है कि इस प्रकार के केस खुलने चाहिए। इस प्रकार के जो खूंखार आतंकवादी हैं, जिन्होंने इस सारे त्रासदी को अंजाम दिया था, जिसके कारण से वहां माहौल खराब हुआ, अपने ही देश में हिंदुओं का विस्थापन हुआ, सिखों का विस्थापन हुआ, ये कोई अच्छी बात नहीं थी। उस वक्त की सरकारों ने इसका संज्ञान नहीं लिया। लेकिन आज इस प्रकार से जब ये केस सामने खुलेगा तो निश्चय ही उन लोगों को भी इंसाफ मिलेगा और आइंदा से भी इस प्रकार के जो लोग हैं उनको सख्त से सख्त सजा मिले, ऐसा मुझे लगता है कि कोर्ट की तरफ से भी निर्देश जारी होने चाहिए। ये इस प्रकार की एक जो सत्य सामने आया है, उसी का ही परिणाम है कि आज इस प्रकार के जो कदम है उठाए जा रहे हैं।
Well, back with me, Mr. Pandit is on the broadcast. So I'd like to ask you, they say justice delayed is justice denied. What we're looking here is a classic case, one such case after 31 years. The Srinagar court now reopening the trial in Tickoo's case. Now, do you think perhaps it's a beginning for many other Kashmiri Pandits to file cases at this point in time, perhaps to get some kind of justice, although it comes many years later? Mr. Sushil Pandit, if you can hear me, yes, what do you make of this case, and do you think it's the beginning of many more cases to be filed by those who have been denied justice?
They will be treated as individual cases, as standalone murders. It will not do justice, because this is a network of murderers called jihadis, and the victims are not just ones and twos. An entire community, an entire identity was wiped out of the valley. So to treat them as solitary standalone crimes like a murder, stray murder here or a stray rape there, is a travesty, is a cover-up. You cannot cover up a genocide by trying one crime and one criminal. It has to be a coordinated effort to try the entire network. And for that, first and foremost, recognize this as a genocide, not as a normal crime. A murder in any case is a heinous crime. But when you set out to murder an entire community, terrorize an entire community, and wipe out their identity from the land where they belong, where you exterminate them and expel them through heinous crimes, it is called a genocide. The United Nations Convention on Genocide 1948 defines it. This crime meets all the definitions. But our state, our governments, successive governments...
Pandit, do stay with us. Mr. Ashok Pandit also joins us on the broadcast right now. Mr. Ashok Pandit, you know, a lot has been said about the fact that there was an attempt to brush this under the carpet, but perhaps now a beginning has been made. There is a trial against Bitta Karate which has just started. Do you see this perhaps as the beginning of some justice at least?
It is a very hopeful beginning. There's no two doubts about it. But I was listening to Sushil ji, and I think every point what he said is what every Kashmiri Pandit wants, every Kashmiri Hindu wants, every nationalist wants. every person who believes in India wants. A person who has killed people, he represents the community of terrorists. He represents the community of those people who are responsible for a genocide of the entire community. And he is in the jail for an economic fraud. We definitely are hopeful. We are definitely applaud the effort of the present government. There is no two doubts about it. But the point is, the battle is a very huge battle. And the day we want to see, every Kashmiri Pandit wants to see a day where all these people responsible for my genocide and killings and rapes, the day they are hanged to death. That is the day when every Kashmiri Pandit or every Indian will be satisfied. We have had enough for 32 years. I thank the filmmaker, I thank this film to regenerate, to re-energize us, all of us, entire country for that matter, the judiciary for that matter, for the government for that matter. Yes, this has happened. And as Sushilji said, let the government announce, one, that yes, it's a displaced community. Number two, that genocide happened. It has to be passed in the parliament. Let the parliament say, let India together say that yes, 3.5 lakh to 4 lakh Kashmiri Hindus have suffered the genocide. It should be in the books of the parliament. It should be said, accepted by the politics of this country that yes, genocide happened. Well, accept to kariye. I'm not denying the fact this is a great sign, this is a great beginning. There's no two opinions on that. And anything regarding Kashmiri Pandits is concerned, I'm very honestly speaking, any strategy which is being planned, as far as Kashmiri Pandits is concerned, the Kashmiri Pandits should be involved in the planning, in strategizing our return to Kashmir. We are not cattle, we are not herds that will put us in truck and take us back to Kashmir. Building of flags,
Right.
everything. There has to be a blueprint.
Mr. Pandit, as you are speaking, there is a catharsis that is needed, and perhaps an attempt is being made at least the beginning of this